Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I'm super excited about this video because I think it is a really awesome resource for so many Muslims. So this video is going to be about a few things that you should be doing if you are a Muslim who is trying to get married. Now this isn't about, what conversations to have, where to meet people, how to involve family. Those will be topics for another video. This video is specifically about Islamic tools that we have from the Quran and the authentic Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ for Muslims who are either looking to get married or Muslims who are trying but having a very hard time, navigating and finding a partner. So the first tool that I want to offer is, it starts with a story. So Prophet Musa alayhi salam, obviously, one of the top 5 prophets in our deen, the one prophet who is mentioned the most in the Quran, has a really cool story. And think about this scenario. So the Prophet Musa alayhi salam, prior to being a prophet, finds out that soldiers of Fir'aun are looking for him to assassinate him. He realizes that there is a bounty out for his head, essentially, and he needs to flee. Now, he doesn't have time to pack an overnight bag. He doesn't have time to, grab a suitcase. He leaves with the clothes on his back. And he flees, not knowing where he's going or what he's going to find. He's probably hungry, he's tired, he's scared, he's uncertain. And we don't know the exact amount of time that he was running in the deserts of Egypt, but the reality is it was a substantial amount of time. Prophet Musa finds a tree, finally, and decides he's going to sit and recline under it. And you gotta imagine how downtrodden he felt at this time. And he makes this dua, and it's a very interesting dua because the wording is just, it very much embodies a level of desperation that just exposes the vulnerability of Musa alayhi salam at that time. And so when Musa is there just realizing the situation he's in, he makes a dua, and he says, رَبِّي إِنِّي لَمَا أَنزَلْتَ إِلَيَّ مِنْ خَيْرٍ فَقِيرٍ. رَبِّي إِنِّي لَمَا أَنزَلْتَ إِلَيَّ مِنْ خَيْرٍ فَقِيرٍ. The translation, roughly, and I'm going to try to translate it in a way that I really feel captures the essence of this dua, because that's what the most powerful part of this dua is. My Lord, I am in need. I'm poor. I'm impoverished. I'm starving for whatever khair, whatever pure goodness you can descend upon me. Whatever khair you can give me, I need it right now. He's not asking for something specific because he realizes he's in a really desperate situation. What happens next is incredible, subhanAllah. The Prophet Prophet Musa alayhi salam notices these 2 women who are sisters, and they have this herd of animals, and they are trying to water their animals by having to wait because a bunch of men are at the watering hole. And they're having a hard time pulling back this flock, right? This thirsty flock who's trying to race down to the water hole. So Prophet Musa gets up, doesn't say anything, but he takes the animals from those women and he takes them down to the watering hole and he helps them to drink, and then he brings them back to those 2 women. The women leave, they're on their way, and it turns out that they actually speak to their father about what happened. And they come back to Musa alayhi salam and they invite him back to their home, saying that their father would like to thank him for what he did for them. Some people speculate, by the way, that the man, the father of those 2 women, might have been Prophet Shu'aib, because the city he was from, Midian, was the city that Prophet Shu'aib was from. There's no certainty around this. It's just a theory that I thought I'd mention. He goes with them, and it turns out, we find out later, that one of those sisters actually took a liking to Musa alayhi salam. And so when Musa meets this man, he gets a few offers. The first offer is, would you like to work for me? Right? The father is an elderly man. He needs someone to kind of take over his land. So he offers for a contract, a certain number of years, which is mentioned in the Quran. Would you work for me? And while you are working for me, you can live on my land. And on top of that, I would like to propose marriage of you to my daughter. Now, from that one dua of desperation, Musa, who is at this point a refugee, gets a job, a home, and a wife. And from that will come a family. That dua is such an incredible dua that I recommend everybody memorize, even if you're not trying to get married. But the point is, because this is what came out of it, scholars do say that this is a dua that helps individuals get married. So that's point one. Point number two is, if you're looking to get married, be very intentional about, in your single years, donating and giving to charity. Now, we know the Prophet ﷺ tells us that charity does not decrease from wealth. This is a known fact. And there's so many stories. I'm sure if you've ever spoken to someone who's, given money at a time to charity when they were having some financial issues, and the blessing, the barakah that came from it. But one really cool effect of giving charities, two things. One is that it actually is an increase in your rizq. When you are giving from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you to benefit other people, you are acting as a tunnel from you to them. You are acting as a tunnel of rizq. Basically, Allah is allowing them to receive their rizq through you. It increases barakah in your rizq, right? And it allows more goodness to come. In fact, there's an Islamic idea that charity is one of the things that can extend your life, right? Obviously, everyone has their time of written death, but that is just one point of explaining how much barakah it can bring. The other thing is that when you give charity, this good deed, it's actually a really good time to make dua. And so you can make it a point to make dua for someone who is a good spouse, and for Allah to make it easy for you. Number three is a topic of actually a Mufti Menk video that went, I feel like every video of Mufti Menk goes viral, but subhanAllah. But it is so important to make istighfar. Now, you might be wondering, what does istighfar have anything to do with getting married? What does that even, what's the connection? Well, first of all, if you don't know what istighfar is, it's astaghfirullah, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. That's what istighfar is. There is a verse in the Quran that tells us that essentially istighfar, when we make istighfar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increases rizq for us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as a direct result of this istighfar that we're making, He allows us to receive the rizq from the heavens. And this is the point, right? It doesn't always have to make sense in our head. How does asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness lead to this? Allah already told us that this is a connection. I'll try to remember, inshallah, to insert the verse in the description. I don't remember it honestly offhand, and I don't want to misquote it. So that is point 3, is to really make it a practice of making istighfar. And how can you make it a practice? Well, one, there's opportunities to make istighfar after every salah. Very often you'll hear people say astaghfirullah 3 times after each salah. You can extend that, obviously. And then my recommendation is to make it a habit before you go to sleep to make istighfar. To make istighfar for the sins that you might not have even realized that you committed during the day. Because Lord knows that there are so many things that we do that completely slips our mind. We don't even think about it. And being able to make that dua right before going to sleep is really important, because some people passed away and they're sleeping. You want to make sure that you ended that day, you ended that night with a clean slate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The last thing that I want to talk about is, it's hard, I know, and a lot of people struggle with it. But in the meantime, when you are on your search for that person, and you hope that, this won't be the last one, but when you're on your search for the person that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has meant to be with you, take that time to really work on yourself. I know everyone says this, work on yourself, better yourself, but be strategic about it, right? Literally sit down with a notebook, and you sit down and you write down everything that you don't like about yourself. What is it that I don't like? That I'm impatient. I don't like that I'm not good with money. I don't like that I'm lazy. I don't like whatever. I don't like maybe these features about how I look. All of the things that you don't like about yourself, you write those things down, and you think about, what can I do to improve these things, right? What's the root of these issues? If you're someone who really struggles financially, you feel like you're kind of reckless with money, well, what's the root of that issue? Is it something that maybe you were a child and you lived in a situation where you didn't have a lot of money, or you just didn't know how to handle it. Well, maybe it's time to sit down and start taking gaining some financial literacy skills. There are lots of really awesome opportunity or resources on YouTube about budgeting, about how to invest, about just being super mindful about where your money is going, sitting down each week and saying, okay, how much am I actually spending? Whoa, I didn't realize I was spending that much. Or, you know, this might be a kind of a superficial aspect, but looking good for your future spouse is actually very important. The Prophet ﷺ praised al-Sahabi, right, who made it a point to, when he would go home, when he would come home to his wife, he would ensure that he smelled good and that, you know, his beard looked good. And the same thing, his wife would do the same thing for him. And this is something that's so important, because the reality is, as Muslims, the only people that we can experience that level of attraction with, and that level of physical intimacy with, is your spouse. So making an effort to look good for the person that you are marrying is, it's really important. So what are the things? Maybe you know, are struggling with your hair care. Okay, then this would be an awesome opportunity to look into hair care routines, or try to figure out products that work for you, right? Maybe you are finding that, I don't know, you're balding in certain areas, or maybe you're losing hair in your eyebrows, or maybe your skincare is not the best, and it's time to build a routine and be consistent with it. And just doing those small things can really make a big difference, obviously, to your self-esteem, but also the level of seriousness that you take yourself. And then when you think about characteristics like being trustworthy, being honest, being responsible, being loyal, all of these important characteristics, when you're building those things up, that hires your radar of what to look for in other people. So when you're leveling up, now you can actually start searching for people who are also leveling up, and then you end up with a situation where your pool of options becomes much higher quality, and that's really awesome. So that's number 4. Number 5 is dua. And I'm going to stop here. I'm actually going to make a completely different video about dua, because there's so much that I could say about that. It is probably the best piece of advice that I'd ever gotten regarding seeking out a spouse. So with that being said, you guys, I hope you liked this video. I hope that it was helpful. These tips are some things that we know are rooted in our deen and are so easy to implement. It's so easy to find ways in our day to go about them, right? Please like this video if you found any bit of benefit, and subscribe. This lets me get this content out to more people. It allows more Muslims to see this content, to find resources to help them to get married. The Prophet ﷺ told us that marriage is half our deen, and whether people take that literally or metaphorically, the point is it is such an important part of our deen, and there's not a lot of preparation that people are putting into it. So if you can be a part of that by liking this video, even a simple like, it really does do a lot. It does help the video get out. This is just how the YouTube algorithm works. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave comments below. Interaction also helps, the engagement also helps get this video out. You definitely, I pray that you will get the reward for anyone who ends up benefiting from these videos because of a simple action you took of liking or commenting. Thank you guys so much. Assalamu alaikum.